Hello, it's great to see everybody here today, and I'm really excited to bring to you roaming clients. This is something that we've been working on as a company for several months now, bringing the roaming client to all major platforms, and I think it's going to be really great for all of your users to be able to filter wherever they are. So first, a little bit about me. My name is Josh Lamb. I'm business development here at DNSFilter. I love sushi, love jumping out of work in airplanes, love it, and helping people protect their users online. So why roaming clients? There's three main advantages that you get from roaming clients. One is off-network support. So on all major platforms, you're able to filter your users no matter where they are. You're able to deny access to tasteless content, adult content, malware, phishing, things like that. You're able to block, Hulu, Netflix, streaming services if you want. Secondly, you're able to do specific filtering. So you can have unique policies and reporting depending on which device. So for example, if it's an executive device or an IT administrator device and you want to have a more relaxed policy, you're able to do those as well. Lastly, you're able to always have current protection. So because our AI categorizes websites in real time, your block list is always accurate and you're not having to install any patches or any database updates. That's handled by our cloud architecture, so you don't have to worry about installing those. Let's look at our agenda for today. First, we're going to look at the roaming client ecosystem. We're going to go over best practices, then we're going to do a live walkthrough. And on the walkthrough, we're going to go through a Windows roaming client Active Directory installation. So there's three broad ways that you can connect to the DNSFilter platform. First is roaming clients. Second is router and Active Directory forwarding. This can be used for installing a bulk filter on your network. And third is the DNS relay. That's available as a Docker container or as a virtual machine image. Now all three of these can mix and match. So for example, I can do a router forward for a bulk policy for my entire network. And then I can install roaming clients on certain machines so that they're filtered according to a different policy. I'm able to manage everything remotely from the cloud. So if you go in here, I can look at some of my MacBooks and I can assign different policies, different block pages, able to tag them, able to change anything that I want. I can also go into the reporting and I can look at the most active locations. I can go in and look at the top requested domains. And I'm able to see that here. I'm also able to look at the different roaming clients and look at the top domains that are being accessed. I can also install on any platform from the dashboard here. Let's take a look at the roaming client ecosystem. So you can see here every major platform, Windows, Mac, and so on. All of these can be installed manually via GUI, but they can also be scripted or pushed via, for example, a mobile device manager or an RMM tool. So there's a lot of options that you have to deploy DNSFilter's roaming client. Now, how does the client work? The client basically asks one question. It asks if something is a local resource or an internet resource. If it's a local resource, it forwards it along the path that it normally would take. So for example, if I installed the roaming client and I was on an Active Directory network, the roaming client would not interfere with any Active Directory resources. It would automatically go to the domain controller, same as it would without the agent. The difference is when something is an internet resource. In that case, the agent takes over, the client takes over, and sends the query directly to DNSFilter, where it passes through our scan engine. Here's an overview of how DNSFilter operates. So on the top left here, you see domain ingestion. We have several sources of new domains that we categorize. One of them is the domains that are attempted to be accessed by our users. We run that through our AI filter. We also augment that with 66 other external sources that are brought in. We run all of this data through safety checks to make sure that we're never blocking anything like Microsoft.com or Office 365, for example. After those checks is security and heuristic scanning. Our AI scanner is able to look at things like the login for an Office 365 or Dropbox and we're able to see if the domain hosting that information is actually legitimate or not, and we're able to flag it as phishing, for example. We also do a lot of other tests, such as incorrect use of SSL or improper domain name usage or other content analysis. Lastly, we do content classification. So from a non-threat standpoint, we're able to look at if something is adult content or gambling or alcohol or any number of other categories according to content. This information then gets pushed to our live databases on all of our nodes. So we see here a map, and this is a little bit representative of all of the nodes that we have in operation, although there are actually 48 of them. And you can see here also from the graphic that users are connecting from various locations. Your users will connect to whatever is the nearest node, and that'll happen automatically. So for example, if Misha over here, if she was in California and then she got on a plane and then she got off where David is in Italy, then she would start connecting to the Italy node automatically. Let's now look at best practices. So first, planning is good. We want to make sure that we are adequately planning for our deployments, and I'm guessing that a lot of you are watching this webinar for that very reason. In order to best plan our deployment, we're going to look at gathering our organizational information, noting special options, choosing distribution channels, and testing on a small group. So first, gathering information. We want to look at what are the user groups that are in operation for what we want to deploy the roaming client for. So for example, if you're at a school, you want to look at the staff and the students. If you're in a small business, you want to look at executives, IT personnel, and users. This may depend depending on what your organization is and how you want to filter them. That should be your main driving question. Who needs what filtering policy? How many policies should I have? So we'll start there. Next, we'll note any special options. So some of the clients have different install time options that you can pass. So for the Windows one, for example, I can hide the tray icon, I can hide it from add remove programs, I can pass tags to differentiate between groups, so there's different options to consider there. Thirdly, I want to choose a distribution channel. That's that chart that we went over earlier. Perhaps you have an RMM tool that you already use, that's your favorite, you love Kaseya, or you love SolarWinds, and you want to use that. Pick the one that's most organic to you. Lastly, test on a small group. The best way of avoiding a large-scale mistake is to do a test quickly first and make sure that it's working well for you. Let's go ahead and go into a live walkthrough. In this walkthrough, we're going to do an Active Directory GPO deployment of the Windows roaming client. We're going to have a fake organization for this, called Black Coffee Cafe. Now when we run the test for Black Coffee Cafe, I'm going to have a few things in mind based on what we had discussed earlier. For my organization, I'm going to have 25 staff members and 5 executives. For this demo, I'm only going to concentrate on the executives. I'm going to deploy the roaming client on those machines. I'm going to have special options. I'm going to hide the tray icon, and I'm going to apply the executive tag so that I have that in the dashboard and it's easy to manage. Lastly, my distribution channel will obviously be Active Directory. Let's go ahead and do the walkthrough. So I already know that I want to deploy the Windows roaming client from our planning earlier. I want to deploy the Windows roaming client to my executive devices. So my first step is I'm going to go into the dashboard. I'm going to navigate to Deployments, and then to Roaming Clients, and then I'm going to download the installer for my 64-bit edition of Windows that I use in my organization. Just a heads up too, if you're an MSP, a white label version will automatically be the download link that you use. Now I'm going to fire up what's called the Orca tool. This will allow me to make a Microsoft transform file. So this transform file is a way to pass command line installation type flags into an Active Directory GPO deployment. So I don't have to do any scripting. I simply have to modify on top of the base MSI and distribute both of those together. So I'm going to open up Orca, and then once it's open, I'm going to open up the MSI file that we just downloaded. Now I'm going to go to the Tables menu on the left, and I'm going to select Custom Action. You can see at the bottom of this page there's several different custom actions that I can use, and so we'll take a look at those. I'm going to pause here for a moment and think about our environment. So in our example, we wanted to do two things. We wanted to do tags. So I wanted to tag with the executive tag. Then I also wanted to hide it from the tray icon. So I'm going to keep both of those in mind, as well as the site secret key, which needs to be passed to the agent. So I'm going to go to Transform, New Transform, and this will start the recording for all of my actions. So anything that I do now will be recorded in the MST file. So I'm going to go to the field of Set CMD N key. I didn't go back before, so I'm going to go back to the dashboard, and I'm going to copy the secret key value. Now I'm going ahead to go and paste that into the N key field. Now I'm going to go to Set CMD Tray icon. I'm going to click in there, and then I'm going to simply type Disabled to disable the tray icon. Then I'm also going to go to Tags. I'm going to clear that out, and I'm going to type in Executive. After that, I'm going to go to Transform and Generate Transform. Now I'm done. I'm going to save this file, and then I'm going to exit Orca. The next thing I have to do is create a network share. So you may already have this already, but if you don't, and just for illustrative purposes here, I'm going to go make one. First, I'm going to open up Server Manager. Then I'm going to navigate to File and Storage Services on the left. I'm going to go to Shares, then the Tasks drop down, and from here I'm going to select New Share. We'll just basically click Next through most of these. Under Share Name, I'm going to put MSI Deployment. Notice that it's a local path here. Now I'm going to click Next until the end. Once that's done, we're going to move both of our MSI and MST file to the share. So I'm going to go to my download folder. I'm going to cut out both the MSI and the MST files, and then I'm going to navigate to the share and paste it in there. Now I'm going to go back to Server Manager, and I'm going to create the group policy object. So we're going to go to Tools, Group Policy Management. Then I'm going to select the proper OU. So I already have an executives OU. I'm going to go inside the computers for the executives, and I'm going to right click and select Create a new GPO and link it here. Now I'm going to name the GPO, and now I'm going to edit it. So on the tree on the left, I'm going to navigate to Policies, Software Settings, Software Installation. I'm going to right click and select New Package. This will immediately prompt me for the MSI file. So this time I'm going to go navigate to the network share of the file, not the local file path this time, but the network share. And then I'm going to find the MSI file and open it. Once that's done, I'm going to select Advanced for the deployment method and hit OK. Now I'm going to go to the Modifications tab. From here I'm going to click Add. I'm going to navigate to the Orca transform file this time and add it. So if I navigate back to the dashboard here and I go to Deployments and then to Roaming Clients, I can see that one of these computers has already come online. So the client has already been installed. I see it's green, so it's running, it's active. And I also see the executive tag here. Now, if I want to apply a policy to all of the executives, I can do that very easily here. All that I would have to do is filter by tag, select executive, and then I can bulk apply all of these here. So if I click in edit selected, I can choose a policy, say I wanted to block ESPN, hit save, then automatically all of that policy is affected to everybody that has that tag. So it's a very quick, very easy way to manage policies for a large number of computers. So at this point, we've done an end-to-end rollout on Active Directory with the Windows roaming client. This is exactly the process that you would use in a normal Active Directory environment. But let's go ahead and get back to the presentation and wrap up. Okay, now that we've completed the walkthrough, I hope that you're better empowered and understand how DNSFilter can be deployed across your organization. I thank you very much for attending this webinar. I hope it was useful for you, for your users and customers, anybody that you service. And if you have any questions, reach out to us at sales@dnsfilter.com. We would be glad to help you. In terms of next steps, if you haven't already, I would sign up for a free 2-week trial at dnsfilter.com/signup. There's no commitment, there's no obligation. You can simply sign up for this 2 weeks and you can try the product out. Lastly, I would download the roaming client. So once you've signed up, the easiest way to get started with DNSFilter is to download and run the roaming clients. You can be set up in less than 5 minutes and you're able to test the filtering and see how it will work for your organization. Thank you again for attending this webinar, and I hope you have a great day.